DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello, I'm Erin O'Brien, a member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I am here with candidates running for the office of State Senator of the 5th District. The term of office is 4 years, and the salary for this position is $60,584. There are two candidates running for this position. Those candidates are Stephen Huffman and Paul Bradley. Stephen is unable to be here today. Paul, thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
We will start our interview by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve as a state senator. You have 2 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and to Dayton TV for putting on this this series and giving voters a chance to connect with us. My name is Paul Bradley. I'm the Democrat running for State Senate District 5. I currently live in downtown Dayton with my wife, Caitlin, who we've been married for about a year now. And I currently work at Antioch University as their Director of Government Relations. Prior to that, I used to work for Senator Sherrod Brown as his regional representative for Southwest Ohio for about 6.5 years. And prior to that, I was lucky enough to go to the greatest university in Ohio, the University of Dayton, where I was a graduated in 2009. The reason I'm running is pretty simple. You know, I've been engaged in politics and government for a really long time, and to me, regardless of how ugly it can get, it's still the arena in which you can affect the greatest amount of change for your community and do the greatest amount of good. And I look at it as a form of public service, which is what I believe the roots of elected office is, and what we should be getting back to. And to me, having the opportunity to run for this seat and to serve the Miami Valley, I look at that as an opportunity to serve my community and something that I'm really looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Paul, special interests spend immense sums of money in Columbus on lobbying and donations to campaigns. They must report what or whom they're lobbying for or against, but they're not required to report the real-world spending. Do you support full disclosure of who is spending how much to influence our representatives?
Absolutely. I think having full disclosure only provides more information for our citizens when they're making a decision on who to vote for. I think this so-called dark money that we've seen in politics is frankly a really negative drain on our political discourse. I think anytime you are allowing corporations a greater seat at the table than constituents, you're doing your community a disservice. And I think that's exactly what we've seen in politics right now, and I think it's what we have to move away from. We have to have legislators, we have to have elected officials who are more accountable to their constituents than they are to special interests. To me, that's pretty clear cut.
Thank you. So Ohioans overwhelmingly voted for Issue 1 last year to draw compact contiguous district lines and eliminate the current gerrymander districts. Are you a supporter of redrawing the district in an effort to promote fair elections, and would you support doing this prior to 2020 election?
So yes, to answer your question, first and foremost, yes, I supported Issue 1 last year, and I support the idea of creating fair districts. I think gerrymandering, kind of like the special interest question that we just had, is another way in which we have removed people's opportunity to have a voice and a seat at the table. When we create districts that are either pulling apart communities or packing people in, so that that we're creating these ultra-safe districts. And historically, we've seen this happen on both sides of the table. Right now, we do have Republicans who have been in office during the last couple of redistricting processes, and they've created districts that disproportionately help their members. I think what we should be doing is creating a nonpartisan, fair redistricting platform, so that it's not which party is in power that's getting to create more supportive districts for themselves, but we have to create across the board level playing fields for everybody. You know, if we can do that in a responsible way before 2020, then absolutely I would support that.
Thank you. The governor recently transferred over $6.5 million into the state's rainy day fund. Ohio already had more than $2 billion in reserve. State funding to communities and counties have been cut, forcing local governments to reduce services and increase sales taxes. Should some of that money be used to make lives better for millions of Ohioans?
Absolutely, without a question. You know, this is something that really frustrates me, not just with the governor, but with pretty much the whole legislature in Columbus right now, is that, you know, they like to go to Columbus and they like to say we're going to balance our budget by slashing all these different you know, things like the local government fund. But what that does, and they like to say that they do that without raising your taxes, but ultimately what they're doing is passing the buck to local communities. You know, when they strip away local government funds, when they strip away dollars that are going to communities like Dayton, or like Trotwood, or Tip City, or Troy, everywhere around the 5th District, you know, what we're saying is that now local communities, local governments, you have to make up those deficits in your own budget because we're just going to take that money away from you. And what we've seen are sales tax increases, our levies passing all over the place because local governments need to be able to pay for paving roads and for firefighters and for EMTs and for police, all these things that are critical to a community. I'm a big proponent of the idea that, you know, being able to support, you know, being able to put more of that local government fund back to local communities, giving local communities the opportunity to spend those dollars themselves instead of the state hoarding those dollars, not really doing their job to be fiscally responsible. And that to me is, again, is not fiscally responsible when you're just basically hoarding those dollars and taking away and ripping that money away from local communities. And again, it's just passing the buck of that tax burden. We have to change that, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. So, in closing, what would you like the voters of the 5th Senate District to know about you as they go to the polls in November?
You know, I think I would like everyone to know that I do believe that elected office and running for office is something that should be a form of service to your community. This is what I am passionate about working on every single day. You know, I do believe that we have an opportunity this year to restore some balance to our government in Ohio. You know, out of the last 28 years, we've had 24 years of complete one-party control. And, you know, I think our founding fathers put a lot of checks and balances in our government, and one of those checks and balances was a two-party system. And when you have one party in control of everything in a state, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, this time it happens to be Republicans, I think you lose that focus on community service. You lose that idea that constituents and their voice is what should be heard in Columbus, not the other way around. You know, we shouldn't be pushing Columbus on communities. We should be pushing our constituents and their ideas and their thoughts onto Columbus. And I think that's more than anything what I'm looking to reverse and to focus on. You know, I think there's a lot of things that we can work on that move the needle in the right direction, whether it's good public schools for our kids, or good jobs for our communities, or safe neighborhoods for everybody. These aren't partisan issues. These are issues that push us in the right direction. That's what I'm looking to do. That's what I'm focused on. You know, I think we have to get some of the pay-to-play and the corruption out of Columbus, and I promise to every voter out there that you know, these aren't just campaign words, but this is my pledge on what I want to accomplish if you elect me as your state senator.
Paul, thank you for your participation
Absolutely.
today. Good luck in your campaign.
Thank you so much.
The goal of the League of Women Voters is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. We are nonpartisan, meaning that we never support or oppose any candidate or party. We encourage everyone to vote. There are several ways to cast your ballot. By absentee ballot. Every registered voter should have received an absentee ballot application from the Secretary of State in September. If you did not receive the absentee form, you can download one from the Secretary of State's website. You can also vote early at your Board of Elections beginning October 10th. And the polls open at 6:30 a.m. on Election Day, Tuesday, November 6th, and close at 7:30 p.m. Last but not least, the League would like to thank DATV for partnering with us once again to present these candidate interviews. They volunteer their time, expertise, and equipment to make this possible. Thanks for watching, and be sure to vote.